In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
Some very famous cars just recently sold,
including Burt Reynolds' 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, sold for almost $500,000. The classic muscle car went up at the Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale auction with a final bid of $495,000. Now, this is the same type of car that he drove in the hit film Smokey and the Bandit, but it's not the one that actually appeared on the screen. It was actually a gift for his work on the film, which was actually the second highest grossing film of that year. So to make it even more special, it's the only 77 Trans Am that he's actually ever owned, and he also signed the glove box.
which is, I'm sure, something that makes it even, more valuable, and that's why it ended up getting so much, right? Very cool. Also, someone paid $71,000 for a 1976 AMC Pacer, but it's not just any Pacer.
No, it is the Pacer from the 1992 film Wayne's World.
And of course, this famous moment from that car.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me.
Of course, that was a song that they were singing along with, Wayne and Garth in the car.
And then they all start headbanging to it. Is that also the car that they were in when they pulled up and asked for Grey Poupon?
Oh, very possible too, right? Yeah, all part of that whole film. So the same car sold for $37,000 in 2016 after it was fully restored. So 2022 marks the 30th anniversary of Wayne's World, by the way, too. So that's a whole lot of money to pay for an old car, but it's a piece of movie memorabilia.
Yum, science. It's not rocket science.
Check it out. I blinded us with science.
Well, this is pretty wild. Researchers at MIT say they've done what some people thought was impossible. They created a new material that's as light as plastic, but stronger than steel. They say it's easy to make and could be used in everything from phones to bridges.
Oh, hopefully it's cheap to make, too.
That'd be revolutionary.
Hey, NASA is planning to retire the International Space Station in 2030, and they're going to deliberately crash it into the Pacific Ocean. They'll aim for a remote part of the South Pacific known as the Spacecraft Cemetery.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong with that? In other space news, people in the Midwest saw a weird swirling light last Monday. Didn't know what it was. Turns out it was leftovers from a SpaceX launch in Florida.
And speaking of SpaceX, they just passed a big benchmark. Their Falcon 9 rockets are now the safest rockets in history. They've done 112 successful launches in a row.
And speaking of space, some good news. A study has found that we already have the technology to handle a big asteroid like the one in the movie Don't Look Up. As long as we had 6 months lead time, apparently nukes could change its trajectory enough for it to miss Earth.
Very nice. Hey, a study at Berkeley just found that our brains constantly lag like a computer. And it takes a while to update. Dave's doubled over laughter. So everything we perceive apparently is a mashup of the last 15 seconds of information our brain gets. And they say that's a good thing because if it updated constantly, we would feel like we were hallucinating all the time.
So our brains need an update. If that's what's going on today, I've got a little tongue-tie mush mouth going on today. So I need to reboot my brain.
Yeah, apparently the weekend wasn't enough to refresh it.
Do you know this? Your plastic water bottle could be widening your waistline. In one new study, researchers found that chemicals in common plastic products like water bottles, food packaging, may put you at risk of putting on the pounds. Packaging widely used for food because it's cheap and, of course, can increase shelf life. But plastic contains thousands of chemicals. Researchers say some of those look like they're getting into our bodies and therefore affecting our weight. So they've got to do more studies on this to see the long-term effects.
Yeah, because that chemical could reprogram certain cells in your body, which is not good. And finally, did you know that your health can be positively impacted by the amount of education your partner has? So previous studies have shown that the more formal education you have, the better your overall health is. But a team of researchers out of Indiana say this is the first study to actually find that a great education is beneficial to your partner as well. And the effect of a spouse's level of education on health is positive and relatively large. So if your significant other has a high level of education, but maybe you do not, or they have more than you, but you will also get the benefits.
Good morning, it's Dave Cheryl, and if you struggle to get sleep, you know there's nothing worse than that. You might be trying different things like a new mattress, maybe some new pillows. Well, a new study says this is what you should be doing.
You should be changing the color of your bedroom. Just repaint it. Purple, though.
Purple.
This is according to a new survey. 84% of the people they surveyed who have a purple bedroom reported that they typically sleep very well. Now, if you can't handle purple, maybe try blue. It was second, with 76% saying they get a good sleep in their blue bedroom.
Now, on the flip side, apparently you shouldn't paint your bedroom green. Only 58% of people with green bedrooms sleep well. 27% say they sleep poorly in green rooms. And you may want to avoid painting your bedroom yellow, brown, and beige.
Now, before you run to the hardware store to go get some new paint, should be note, though, the survey only involved about 1,000 people. So really, in actuality, only about 25 people actually had purple bedrooms.
So the results might be skewed a little bit.
So what's the color of your bedroom, though?
You know what? I
Do you
can't
even
think
know?
about it. It's been there so long, we've never repainted the bedroom. We've repainted other rooms in the house. I just never think about it. Maybe I should. I actually, you know what? It's a greenish type color. Mm-hmm. So maybe we do need to change it up. Now, when you say purple, are you just like a light purple, or are we talking Barney the dinosaur?
Well, because that's the thing. My bedroom is a light gray with purple undertones in it. So does that count as being a purple bedroom?
I don't know. According to my 5-year-old granddaughter, she called you boring. They repainted the main floor of the house, and my daughter asked her if she liked it, and it was a grayish. She's like, why'd you go with that? And she goes, well, it's nice. That's a color a boring person would pick.
Well, what she would have picked? Hot pink, probably?
Because she's 5. She would have picked pink, right? But apparently, if you believe in this, and man, you can't get sleep, you try anything and everything, purple may be the way to go. Well, in health news, apparently there is one very simple, small exercise you can do each day to improve your strength.
You need to do a single bicep curl. However, you do have to do it at maximum effort. But researchers say that can lead to a 10% increase in muscle strength within just 1 month.
Wow.
So it's literally 3 seconds a day. So in total, over the course of a month, you'd only be lifting for 2 minutes. But there are a couple of catches. So they're saying that 3 seconds of exercise is not just sufficient, but that you can build muscle strength with a single curl every day. So there's a specific motion that you have to do to get the best results. So 3 motions is what a curl can be broken down into: the concentric curl, an isometric contraction, and the eccentric contraction. So concentric is when you lift it up towards your chest, and then the isometric contraction is when you hold the weight there. You're holding your muscle in that fixed position. And then the eccentric contraction is when you lower the weight back down from your body. And that is the movement that is the most beneficial. Contrary to popular belief, that is when you bring the back down, the weight back down, that's when you're building the most strength.
Isn't that something, though? So lifting that weight and doing that just 3 seconds a day can help to improve your strength.
It's not going to improve your health. It's just going to help improve your strength, they say. But you have to do it at maximum effort. So you got to lift something that you can only literally do 1 rep up, like a 1 rep max.
So it has to be a fairly heavy weight.
Yeah.
Like your car or something. So if you can just do a bicep curl with your vehicle, look at you. You'll be out there just like the Hulk. We've got some great animal stories for you. Have you ever brought your dog to the groomer? Well, then you go. Obviously, you bring them there, you drop them off, you come back, pick them up later. Well, what about leaving with the wrong dog?
That's what happened to this woman in Virginia. She took her 10-month-old dog, Lucky, into the groomers. And when she picked him up, she snapped a photo. And in it, the dog looked highly suspicious. So she sent the photo to her boyfriend to try to figure out why her usually affectionate Maltese poodle was looking so shifty. She also noticed the dog was not responding to his name, and she realized she had the wrong dog.
What are the odds of that?
So she ran back to the groomers to pick up her actual dog and learned he had been taken. The dog she had taken was another Maltese, so same type of breed, but his name was Bentley. She got him back without incident, but of course she had to share about it on social media, make fun of herself for not realizing that she had a different dog. But if you've seen those Maltese poodle, like those dogs, they have really long fur, and then you trim them down, they look like a completely different dog after they've had their haircuts. So
lots of similarities.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Well, who knew a swan could ever cause multiple train delays? Well, it happened in the London Underground in late January. So they said the trains were unable to travel between a couple of the junctions because the swan was just sitting there. 14 trains had to be canceled or rerouted while workers tried to get the bird to leave the tracks.
He's just like, no.
Once the swan finally stood up, yes, he was just sitting there, workers were able to kind of wrangle it into one of the entrances where London Wildlife Protection was able to pick it up. Now, they say the bird was likely disoriented, didn't know what to do, and just, ended up sitting down. So confused. We were traveling back from Northern Ontario one time, decided to go back roads. This was last summer. And it was nice, but then GPS was taking us down some really small back roads, right? Like sort of paved, sort of not. And we crested this hill and there was a bunch of swans just sitting there on the road. I'm like, well, what do we do now? Like I beeped the horn a couple of times and they just turned and looked like, what?
Did you get out and like flap your arms?
I should have. We sat there, it felt like for several minutes before they finally kind of wandered off into the field.
I mean, that was at least just slowed you down. It didn't shut down the entire London Underground.
No, that was one of their friends.
And finally, a woman in Australia recently took on a spider and lost, but she didn't end up with a spider bite. So this 25-year-old by the name of Alyssa spotted a huntsman spider in her bedroom late last month. This would be your nightmare, Dave.
Gross.
She freaked out. Now, these huntsman spiders, they're not deadly, but they are massive.
They're huge.
They look like a tarantula, but longer legs. So it was up on the ceiling, and Alyssa jumped up on her bed and tried to kill it with bug spray. But that only enraged the spider, and it lunged at her.
Oh, no.
So she panicked and jumped off the bed. She felt a sharp pain in her foot. Wasn't a spider bite. She had landed on a high-heeled shoe and impaled her foot with it.
Oh, man.
The stiletto. The heel of it punctured the bridge of her foot right down to her heel, and it was lodged in there. She couldn't pull it out. Isn't this the stuff of nightmares? So her roommate had to call an ambulance, and x-rays showed that the heel was logged almost 2 inches into her foot.
She'd have to have surgery for that.
Yeah, she did. She had surgery, and she's doing much better. They say she should be walking away soon. Alyssa says she did win the fight, though. The spider died.
So it didn't survive after all of that.
It eventually died. I think the bug spray took it out.
Or she fell on it when she fell on the high heel at the same time, right? Wow. When we were living up in Brockville, we once had like a river spider on our front porch. And I was working afternoons there. And I remember my wife calling and one of my daughters was like, oh, you got to take care of the spider. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, just go knock it down or do something, right? I get home and I was like, oh my God, it was huge. So it was just hanging right there, right by the door. So I went out and I put on a hoodie and I tied it up and I had some bug spray and it did nothing. Like it just lifted one of its legs. Like, oh, can you get this right there a little bit?
Oh, deodorant. Thanks, buddy.
So I just kind of took a baseball bat and just knocked him
Hit
into
it
the
off
yard.
the porch.
Yeah, at least he wasn't, hanging out outside of my front door anymore. I think at one time or another, we've all bought something used. We bought a bunch of Lego bricks used that were so clean you could actually smell the wipes the person had used before they, cleaned them up before they sold them.
Like they had filled the tub up and put in like disinfectant and stuff and
Scrubbed
cleaned
them all, and
up.
I thought, okay, that's really cool. But sometimes you buy something used that looks good on the outside. You don't think about the inside.
A 28-year-old woman over in Ireland by the name of Jess recently bought a used couch with her boyfriend. Their dog ruined their old one, so they didn't want to get something brand new because they figured it would just get trashed again while they were in the process of trying to train him. So they headed online to find, something slightly used and found this tan and brown 2-seater. And they said on the outside, it looked pretty great. But a couple weeks into owning it, they lost the remote. And so her boyfriend reached down into the cushions to try to find it. But that's not the only thing he found down there.
Yeah, he put his hand in there to find the remote, as one does, and came out with an entire handful of fingernails.
Yep, nail clippings.
Oh, my God.
Turns out, so they removed the cushions and found thousands of nail clippings
No.
stuffed in the couch.
No.
And there was plenty of toenails as well.
Oh, no.
So they think it might have been multiple people stuffing them in there.
Oh, man, I couldn't wash my hand fast enough. He touched them. So she said the first thing they did was, obviously, as most people would do, start gagging. But they're troopers and decided to keep the couch. They vacuumed the stuff out And Jen says there were so many, it sounded like she was vacuuming up uncooked rice.
Oh, no, I'm gagging.
Now you've got to disinfect your vacuum like it's a whole process. I mean, I guess if the couch was good enough, they just decided that you wanted to clean it. But yeah, word to the wise. Check under the cushions.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Oh, no, it's bad. It's real bad.
A painting worth about $1.2 million Canadian has been destroyed after a bored security guard drew eyes on faceless figures depicted in the artwork at a Russian gallery.
Wah, wah.
Oh, no.
And here's probably the worst part. It was a security guard's first day on the job.
Just bored and had a pen in his pocket.
Yeah, he drew 2 pairs of eyes with a ballpoint pen onto this 3 figures painting during an abstract art exhibition at this art gallery just in Western Russia. The painting was actually on loan from the State Gallery in Moscow. Apparently he was bored on his first day. He doesn't actually, he works for the company that is contracted to do security. Well, making his rounds one night, he got bored and decided, this painting just needs some eyes.
He doesn't work for them anymore. He has since been fired, and police have now opened up an investigation into the whole thing, too.
Yeah, damage to the painting and the cost of the restoration is estimated at around $40,000. Apparently, the company that had hired him is going to be paying for the restoration, but he's now being investigated, could actually be facing some huge fines, even maybe not prison, but go to a labor camp.
Wow. That's wild. Why? Why would you do that? What would possess you to think, well, I'm here in the art gallery, it's 2 a.m. Why don't I just put a smiley face on this picture? Yeah, that decision and that pen could end up costing him a year at a labor camp and a huge fine. Went out shopping yesterday and had a moment of panic.
Did you forget your wallet?
No. So I ran to Canadian Tire, something I wanted that was on sale. But I couldn't find it. So I was looking around and they showed me something else. And I was like, I don't think that's it. And so I wandered off with it and I was looking at my phone. I was like, well, I knew it was an ad on my phone. I thought I had taken a screenshot of it and saved it. I hadn't. So I'm scrolling. I have a habit sometimes of, even though I can see the writing, I take my glasses off to look. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And sometimes when I go into stores, because of wearing the masks, I don't even wear my glasses. I'll just leave them in the car.
Yeah, because they fog up.
Mm-hmm. But I did
especially,
wear them in.
From winter to,
that too.
The cold to the warm. Ugh.
Always a struggle if you wear glasses. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking, and I'm wandering around, trying to find this thing. And I wandered off, and I said, man, I just can't find it. So I start walking towards the door, and I'm like, wait, where are my glasses? I actually touched my head. I can't find my glasses. I thought maybe I'd pop them up in my head. No, I wander around, can't find them. I'm like, did I put them in my pockets? Maybe coming in, did I put them in my pocket? Did they fall out? Okay, maybe I left them in the truck. Go back out in the parking lot, search the truck. No glasses. I look under the truck. No glasses. I go back in. I go to the courtesy desk. No one's turned in glasses. Apparently somebody turned in a lens for a pair of glasses. I don't know how you walk around with one lens missing, but... Maybe or someone put them in their pocket and it popped out and they didn't realize it. Yeah, maybe. So I go back into that area where I was and they were like, no, we haven't, no one's turned any in. And even one of the guys there helped me look a little bit. And I was just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I just have to take a breath and retrace my steps. So I went back and around and finally found them. I'd taken them off and put them on a shelf when I was standing there looking at my phone. And because it was kind of dark in that section, and what was on the shelves was
on the shelf was dark, so you couldn't see them. Oh, and also you weren't wearing glasses. So.
Also that.
It's kind of hard to find your glasses when you don't have your glasses.
I cannot explain the sense of relief because I've only had these a couple of months maybe, so they're new.
You must not have lost them because you're wearing them today.
It was a full-out panic moment. I was getting anxiety over the whole thing.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I purchased something the other day, brought it into the house, and I was like, I don't need a bag. I threw it in my purse, or I thought I did. And I carried it into the house, set it down on the table, and then proceeded to run around the house trying to find it. Meanwhile, it was sitting on the table.
we used to tease our oldest brother for that kind of thing because he would like wander around and leave things around as he was reading. Because he would read all the time, right? We used to call him the absent-minded professor because then he couldn't remember after where he put things. I had an absent-minded professor moment, and boy, the relief! I was driving home, just a sense of relief because classes aren't cheap. So to be able to find them after thinking, well, they're gone. Either they're under a shelf, they got kicked under a shelf, or maybe somebody walked off with them. I don't know why they would, but... Or
they had picked them up to return them and hadn't put it in at the
courtesy desk or whatever.
Desk, yeah.
But yeah, big thank you to those at Canadian Tire, the staff that tried to help me out a little bit. So I made sure once I did find them, I realized, hey, yeah, I found them. They're like, oh, that's good, because you're wearing them. I'm like, yes, these are mine. But boy, what a full panic moment.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's Favorite Moments of the Week.